here's what you'll need to make these paper stars. You'll need some paper cut into strips. To do that, I use a metal ruler, this cutting board, and a craft knife. You'll need a knitting needle to wrap the straws around, some thread to tie them together with, scissors to snip the ends of the thread, very important, some glue. This is white glue, but you could use a Pritt stick or double-sided sticky tape as well. I also use these little clips to hold the ends of the star together before I tie them. Magazine paper works really well for these, and this is some old manuscript. It's quite thick paper, and it's also really Christmassy when it's rolled into straws. I'm going to cut through 3 pages at once, so it's quicker to make lots of little strips. To make life easy for myself, I'm not going to measure them, I'm just going to do them the thickness of the ruler, which is about 2.5 centimetres. Make sure the pages are together and keep cutting strips. Each star is made up of 10 straws, and each strip of paper is 1 straw. If you haven't got a craft knife, scissors do a very good job too. To make the straws, I need some white glue and a knitting needle to wrap the paper around. I've also got a little scrap of paper here to wipe my gluey fingers on. Run a little bit of glue all the way down one edge and leave a gap at the top. I like to give it a smear with my finger, and that scrap's for wiping the excess. Then, with your glued strip, take the part where there isn't a lot of glue squished over it, and at a slight angle, roll it around the knitting needle to make a straw. When you get down towards the bottom, tug it out a little bit so you've got more room, unless you happen to have a very long knitting needle. There we go. Slide it off the knitting needle, and that's the first straw done. That's 10 straws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And dividing those into 2 piles of 5. Now, to make the star, it's very similar to making St. Brigid's cross. So if you've watched that tutorial, you're already ahead of the game. Taking 1 straw, fold it in half. We're going to do this with all the straws. This is the starting straw. Leave a fairly rounded loop. You don't want a tight fold. You want a loop like that, because I'm going to stick 2 legs through it in a bit. Not my legs, legs of a straw. Take the second straw, fold that in half, and slide it over the top of the first folded straw. Let's try and get it in the middle. Like that. Next straw, fold it in half again to make some legs, and slip those over the top of the straw you've just added. So far, exactly the same as St. Brigid's cross. Now to finish the St. Brigid's cross, you take a 4th straw, fold that in half, and push it straight through the loop. But this is going to be a 5-pointed star, not a 4-sided cross. So slide the next straw over those next set of legs, and rather than trying to make a little square in the centre, I'm trying to make a bit of a pentagon shape. The 5th straw, fold that in half, and this one is going to go over the last straw I just added, but with the 2 legs going through that first loop I left. So I'll tuck them through and slide that last straw over and through the loop. Then you can take the first loopy straw and pull it a bit tighter. You can almost see the star starting to form. Give everything a little bit of a tweak until you can see a nice little pentagon shape that's reasonably equal in the middle. There will also be a little bit of a hole. You can tighten that up in a bit. And that's the first pass on the star shape. With the remaining 5 straws, do exactly the same thing. So fold that first one and leave a bit of a loop. There's the loop. Pass that over one of the sets of straw legs and leave a gap for folding the last straw legs through. Hold that in place. Next straw, fold it in half to make some legs, and put that over the legs of the one you've just added and over the legs of the one that was there to start with, like so. Next straw, fold it in half and over the legs of the one you've just added and the first round of legs on that side. Give the whole thing a twist. Next straw, fold in half, over those legs, oops, and over those legs. It gets more sturdy the more straws you add, so it only gets easier. And fold that last straw in half, and it's going to go over all of these legs and through the loop that we left, just like with the first round. Slide the legs through the loop, and then a little tug just to bring everything together. And again, where there's that first set of legs and you left the loop, you can pull that straw down a bit and give everything a bit of a tweak, so you're left with a nice pentagon shape of reasonably equal sides, like that. Now this is where these sewing clips can be quite useful. You can use these for quilting fabric, and I find it very useful for holding the legs together for the next part. Now I'm going to play a game of under and over. So looking at the star, you can see you should have 4 legs of a straw on each point of the star. There's 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. And if I look carefully, I can see these are the top 2, these 2 are the bottom 2. Move them apart like that. So the bottom 2 have moved round a bit, and then you take the top 2 of the next side and pull them together. You can see that forms a little point. take one of those clips and clip them into place. On to the next set. I'm left with a bottom 2 pair of legs. Move those around, take the top 2, which is these 2 from the next bit, and bring them around to meet in a point and clip them in place. Leaves me with the bottom 2 here, and I want the top 2 of those. Fasten them into a point. Bottom 2 there, and the top 2 there. Oops, that's 3. That's the top 2. Clip them in place. And I'm left with a set of bottom legs and top legs, which I can then clip into place. And that's the points of the star. At this point you can have a little squidge round, move the legs where you want them, try and create a fairly evenly pointed star. That's great. And then I'm going to tie those into place. Use gold thread for this one. Decide where you want the top of the point. Take the clip off and wrap the thread around a couple of times really tightly. There we go. And then tie that off in a double knot. There we go. That's point number 1. And repeat that all the way around the edge. I think I'm going to create a little hanger for this one, so I'll cut a longer piece of thread, fold it in half, decide how big I want the hanging loop to be, and tie a knot there. There we go. And then wrap the thread around the same way as I did with all the others. Leave the loop behind there. Last one. Double knot so it doesn't come undone. And that's everything tied nicely together. Snip off the ends of the straws and excess thread. Leave a little bit of the straw poking out, or leave all of it poking out if you'd rather it looked a little bit more rustic. I leave the ends quite long on the St. Brigid's cross and they look ever so nice. I quite like neat points on the star. There you go. That is a finished 5-pointed star, complete with a hanger. And they look beautiful, made out of magazines or newspaper or even old Christmas wrapping paper. Use different coloured threads if you like on the ends. They look great in red and green. And then hang them on your Christmas tree or make a garland. I hope you enjoy making these as much as I do.